walking down the streets of pretty much any city, but certainly Detroit.
Oh, yes.
You see the steam flying out of those things. You never really stop and think to yourself, A, what is that? And B, how hot is that? You never really stop.
See, where does the steam actually come from?
I try to avoid all steam. I mean, I don't even want to walk through that.
What about a steam room?
I'll take the steam room, but I'll avoid the manhole steam.
Gotcha.
Yes. I don't want that.
I don't blame you.
No. So, a Michigan school bus driver and an aide for the Muskegon public school system have both been fired after they kicked several students off the bus for eating and sharing a bag of potato chips.
Did they arrest them like the other school
No, there
aide?
was no arrests or handcuffs, but they actually kicked them off the bus several stops before, the stop they were supposed to get off on.
Is there a rule that says no eating on the bus?
Well, they didn't go into full details, but the superintendent of the school calls the driver's actions deplorable, and they say that they violated district policies, ethics, and protocol. So whether there was a rule or not, you don't just kick the kids off.
Right, and at least the kids, it seems from the story, did the right thing. They were sharing the chips with other students.
They were. Sharing is caring, so that's a good thing.
Sharing is caring.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it seems to me unless you're putting somebody else's life in danger on a bus, you should be taken to your bus stop.
Yes. I mean, I feel like there's far worse things that go on a bus than eating potato chips.
Yeah, it's like, where's little Freddie? He's
Several stops back.
2 miles away.
Already dropped off.
He got dropped off. That wouldn't go over
He's
very well
walking,
for mom and dad.
Kevin O'Leary's wife is now facing charges of careless operation of a vessel for her involvement in that fatal boat crash that took place last month. She was driving their boat when it crashed into another boat.
I must have not been here then.
Okay, I was gonna say, you might not have
You guys
been.
are looking at each other like there was some inside joke. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
A vessel?
I think
Seriously, let's get all literal here. I mean,
But that's what the charge is called, and apparently the other driver of the boat was charged as well. If you remember, that driver didn't have the lights on, and it was in the evening. But apparently they had 5 videos that they reviewed, the police officers, and they determined that she was driving 17 miles per hour. This is at 11:30 at night, which police say was not a safe speed. And they say this charge carries a maximum sentence of 18 months in jail or a $1 million fine. Now, her attorneys say, whoa, the police have it wrong. This is not true. The penalty is actually a $10,000 fine with no jail time. They say that the penalty they gave her was for an ocean-going vessel.
Oh, vessel.
A vessel.
I did hear Heather Park say vessel.
Manhole.
If you're the husband, what's his name? Kevin. Okay, you sit there. Let's see. I'm going to be the one paying it. Should I pay $1 million or have my wife be in jail for 18 days?
No, it's 18 months.
Oh, 18 months.
Yes.
Oh, I think. 18
No, 18 months, and I highly doubt she'll go to jail.
Well, apparently he's gone to the plaintiff and offered 80% for $2.3 million.
For a 20% stake,
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Now,
And after 2 years.
Cuban's upping it.
Yeah.
now you are thinking. All right, so the movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, where that gunman killed 12 people during a screening of The Dark Knight back in 2012, will not be showing Joker, which actually comes out next weekend.
Okay.
What's the reason for this?
Well, I don't know if they've actually given a reason, whether it's out of respect for the families of the victims or if they believe that this movie is going to spur more violence. Either way, they're not showing it, and a lot of the family members of the victims are actually expressing concern about the movie in general, about Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of the Joker and the violence in the film. They actually wrote a letter to Warner Brothers asking them to donate to groups that aid victims of gun violence. Warner Brothers has responded and said, hey, we don't want gun violence. We're doing everything we can, so hopefully this won't happen again. However, cinema and movies is meant to be a, whatever, portrayal of.
First of all, the movie where the shooting took place was Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
The sequel, and Joker was not in that. That was Bane.
Right.
And Hines Ward.
But the shooter was connected to Joker, I believe, because he had that orange hair.
Oh,
I believe the shooter was connected to
I see what
Joker.
you're saying. I haven't read much about this movie. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of hype about it.
Oh my gosh, so much hype.
Does Batman appear in this movie, or is it simply the backstory of
Don't
the
ask
Joker?
me.
I don't know.
I will not be seeing it, so
Well,
I have no idea.
I would imagine security at that particular theater, if they were to show the movie, would be particularly high. Would be high, but I don't know, a decision not to show it. But if the families,
They support. They do support not showing it, but they also don't really support the movie in general.
right? I don't know. That's tough. But I mean, the world does continue to go, and movies continue to get made, and the fact of the matter is the person who did it, I don't even remember his name now. Unfortunately, there's been so many of these damn things.
James Holmes.
Yeah, he didn't do it because of Batman. He didn't do it because of Christopher Nolan or Bane or Joker or anything. He did it because he's obviously deranged. So I don't know why the movie, but whatever.
So, an old woman in France is basically living out one of my dreams.
Can't wait to hear.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's dancing on manholes covers? Or?
No. That is definitely not one of my dreams.
Farting all over the place.
No. She's not.
Chasing meteorites.
No. She just discovered that this old religious painting, that she called it, that has been hanging in her kitchen forever is actually worth millions and millions of dollars. I want this to happen to me. I just wanted to discover something I've had forever that I thought was just nothing. Turns out to be a huge treasure.
And I want to win the lottery.
Yeah. Well, it turns out, I actually did some research, that safe that you and Colin had was worth millions of dollars, but unfortunately the movers damaged it.
They sure did, and then they tried to repair it and completely
so
ruined
you
it.
completely, unfortunately you had it.
Dang it.
Yeah, sorry. Should have had a different moving
I
company.
really should have. I
So,
really should.
how did she discover
Anyway, she, on a whim, she decided to take this painting to a local auctioneer to get it appraised. And that's when she was shocked to discover that it was actually this 13th century piece of artwork. And it's valued between $4.4 and $6.6 million.
I'm going to put it right around 5.5.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that's just my
And
gut feeling.
it's going up for auction. She's going to sell this old painting.
Of course, why wouldn't you?
Maybe she had some sentimental value.
I
don't know.
She's very
Yeah.
old. What does she need the money for? I don't know.
Look at a painting and sit there and say, isn't that nice? Or $5.5 million.
Exactly.
I don't know. You make the call.
So it will hit the auction block on October 27.
I'd have more sentimental value for $5.5 million
Yeah,
than I
me
would
too.
for a painting.
Me too. That is out.
6:45 on 97 won the ticket. Thank you, Heather. Up next, the Wide Nine. We look at college and pro football in a global sense. 97 won the ticket.
Hey, Taylor Chevrolet, it's the original We Say Yes dealer. Taylor will buy your used car and pay more for it than any other dealers. They need your car and will step up to own it. Find your used car at Taylor from their huge inventory. Many clean Carfax and 100 vehicles to choose from. Feel the certified difference with the Taylor Chevy Owner Care Program that covers a range of benefits, including 6-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, 12-month, 12,000-mile bumper-to-bumper limited warranty, 24/7 roadside assistance and courtesy transportation vehicle, and you get up to 3 months of OnStar Services trial and a 3-month SiriusXM trial subscription. Good, bad, or no credit doesn't make a difference. Apply at TaylorChevy.com. No application is denied at Taylor Chevrolet. Check out the Taylor Chevrolet new car lineup, too. A car for every budget with safety, technology, and style. Taylor Chevrolet has it all, including the 2019 Chevy Blazer for just $239 a month. Chevrolet, find new roads. Now there are 24-month, 20,000 allowable mile lease payments on select courtesy transportation vehicles as well. GM employee provisions apply. Go to TaylorChevy.com for full details. Offer expires September 30th. Taylor Chevrolet says yes.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
This report brought to you by Mastercraft Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing on 696 westbound at Van Dyke. An accident is blocking the right lane and shoulder. Be prepared for some slowdowns. Also, another accident working to clear on M59 westbound after Old Van Dyke. And in the Brighton area, long delays there as well due to a wreck on US 23 southbound just before 96. For same-day service of your air conditioning or plumbing, call Mastercraft Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. 37 years in the business. A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Mastercraft Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. 800-924-2123. MastercraftHeating.com. I'm Michelle Pena in the WWJ 24-hour traffic center.
The only place you can take 97.1 The Ticket with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Robert Half, the experts in accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, and administrative staffing. The Mets announced yesterday that they're going to retire Jerry Koosman's number next year for the winningest southpaw in franchise history. It's a most deserved honor, and in typical Mets fashion, it's long overdue. However, one has to wonder why this announcement was made now, as opposed to earlier in the season when the golden anniversary of Koosman's 1969 Miracle Mets was celebrated. Fortunately, I'm not a typically cynical Mets fan. Otherwise, I could have sworn the so-called brain trust of COO Jeff Wilpon and General Manager Brody Van Wagenen was trying to use the goodwill-generating Koosman honor as a means of diverting attention from the current team's disappointing fold down the stretch here. Nah, they'd never resort to a cheap PR ploy like that. Never. I'm Boomer Esiason.
You have a job to fill. You post your opening to dozens of online job sites and receive 600 resumes, which you barely have time to eyeball and settle on someone good on paper. In real life, they aren't. You train, retrain, correct, redo, admit defeat, start all over again. Robert Half is the better way to find top talent quickly. Robert Half interviews and custom matches applicants to your exact requirements. Satisfaction guaranteed. Robert Half, the experts in accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, and administrative staffing. Visit roberthalf.com.
Cooler weather is around the corner, and our free AutoZone Loaner Tool program is here to help you get your car in shape for those fall drives. You can choose from over 100 specialty tools, borrow the one you need, and get the job done right, all while saving precious time and money. And you can save even more with great deals every day on STP oil, starting at just $16.99 for a 5-quart jug of STP conventional motor oil. Visit us at AutoZone.com and start the job fast. Deposit required. Restrictions apply.
Last season, America held its breath as Chicago was left in crisis. Tonight, Wednesday's most watched dramas return with a night of incredible premiere.
You could die.
Fire. NPD.
Police are in this house.
What are you doing? I said I would end. The City of Heroes returns with 3 epic premieres on one epic night. All new Chicago Wednesday, tonight on NBC.
Is your business still settling for slow internet? Well, time is money. Switch to Comcast Business now and get a great deal on fast, reliable internet. With a 30-day money-back guarantee, installation when it works for you, and 24/7 customer support. It's time to take your business beyond. Right now, get 75 megabit internet for $49.95 per month for 2 years when you add 2 voice mobility lines and sign up for paperless billing and autopay. Plus, we offer solutions like powerful Wi-Fi that thinks about what customers want, and automatic internet backup that can keep your business running. So what are you waiting for? Get the internet your business really needs. Call 1-800-501-6000 today. Comcast Business. Beyond fast.
Monthly service charge increases by $10 without paperless billing. Offerings 9/29/19. Restrictions applying. New business customers only. 2-year agreement required. Early termination fee applies. Equipment taxes and fees extra. Subject to change. Backup limited update.
Don't take a chance of getting stranded in your vehicle. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. Better parts, better prices every day.
Auto Parts. What are you waiting for? It only takes an hour for you to have your child's heart screened. Get your kid's heart checked at the Ernst Cardiovascular Center at Beaumont Hospital in Royal Oak. Details at 971theticket.com. The Detroit Tigers host the Minnesota Twins. Pre-game tonight at 6:15 on 97.1 The Ticket.
Time for the Wide 9. Here on 97.1 The Ticket, we look ahead, we look back, we talk all things football. It's a vessel for us to discuss all the issues facing the great sport of football right now. And our host, our captain, Tom Milliken. God, what do you got for us?
Great time of the year. We're starting to get some DNA on all these teams in college and pro football. I just love it, especially pro football, as we see who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. College football, not so good locally. Literally everything is wrong with Michigan football right now. How can they turn around their season? Is it even possible?
It's possible. I mean, I agree with Stoney's general premise that they're not going to be able to prove they've turned it around until maybe Penn State or even Ohio State. But it starts with their offense. If they can get their offense going somehow, if they can get a quarterback, whether it's McCaffrey or Patterson, if they can start putting up 30, 40, 50 points a game and have the speed and space, well, maybe not per game, frown at me. But have a 50-point game, then I think people will start to believe in this. But if they keep being anemic on offense, then no one's going to buy anything.
I agree with you. I think it is possible. However, to turn it around, here's what they got to do, and it's also offensively. Stop fumbling the freaking ball. I mean, they waste possessions. Maybe simplify the offense. Maybe there's too much stuff going on they can't figure it out. You know, have fewer plays and practice those and for each week, and those are the plays you use. And also defensively, you know, just tackle in the right spots. You know, they look so out of position on Saturday. You know, and that can be fixed.
I think a game on the schedule that might be telling is actually at Illinois. You better go there and block them. If you don't, that's going to be very troubling because that'll be a few weeks down the road from all this stuff. That's the game you need to go score 50. All right, while Michigan was getting clocked in Madison, Michigan State methodically hammered Northwestern 31-10. Who is the better team right now, Michigan or Michigan State?
Wow, I've seen them both up close and personal. It's a tough one, but I have to go with the Spartans because their defense is good enough to keep them in every single game. And right now, I don't think Michigan as a unit that can keep them in every single game. They played each other. I know they will, and it will be in Ann Arbor. But right now, to me, if they played each other, I'd say the Spartans would have the edge just on defense.
I think you have to start with who's played the best opponent, and obviously as defending division champions, you'd start with Michigan State for what they did in Northwestern. No, you would start with who's got the best unit, and it's the defense of Michigan State. You have to say of the four major offensive and defensive units, they are the ones playing the best so far. So I'm with Stoney. I would have to go with Michigan State right now. I know they've been up or down. I think this is actually a big game for them against Indiana, because if they go with their Jekyll and Hyde, then they may not play well, but they need to kind of hammer Indiana here to kind of get the momentum.
And they have the gauntlet coming up afterwards.
Right.
All right, Georgia defeated Notre Dame 23-17 Saturday night in Athens. Should Notre Dame be ruled out of any college football playoff consideration, barring some wild scenario where every high-ranked team loses twice?
No, they should not be ruled out, because by ruling Notre Dame out, you'd be punishing them for going and playing in Athens against Georgia, and that's exactly what we want more teams to do. I know it's the second part of a home and home, and Georgia won at Notre Dame a couple years ago, which vaulted them into the national championship game. But look, we have a long way to go, and ruling anybody out after week 3 or week 4 is just silly. I know there's not much Notre Dame can do to furnish its resume between now and then, but if they win out and win convincingly, and they are one of only a couple of one-loss teams, then I think they should be in the conversation.
I agree with you, Jamie, and for Notre Dame to finish the season with just one loss, and hypothetically USC keeps winning and Notre Dame beats USC, that would look like a really good win down the road. So a one-loss Notre Dame team at Georgia should be in consideration.
Well, a one-loss Notre Dame team should go in over a third SEC team, which is already starting to create rumblings, and that's ridiculous. That should never happen.
Or any Pac-12 team.
Right. UCLA, speaking of Pac-12, UCLA scored 50 points in 20 minutes to come back from a 49-17 third-quarter deficit against Washington State. They won 67-63. What is your personal favorite comeback in college or pro football history?
Well, I'm going to go with the pros, and it's the Bills' Oilers playoff game. I mean, it was 28-3 at halftime, and then 35-3, and it was just one of the most incredible games I've ever seen, and especially considering it was the playoffs. And Frank Reich coming in for Jim Kelly and winning that game,
Don't sleep on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons and the Patriots. My least favorite of all time is the Michigan State-Northwestern game, which was played on the exact same day as Game 1 of the 2006 World Series between the Tigers and the Cardinals. It was one of the more pathetic games in that Michigan State was absolutely awful in the first half. John L. Smith was the coach. And then Northwestern was absolutely awful in the second half. I forget what the margin was, but it wasn't something like, it was 31-3 or 31-3, and Michigan State won going away. It was brutal. Thank you.
Drew Stanton.
Moving to pro football, Lions are off to a 2-0 start. Everybody thought they'd have at least one loss by now. Who is the most responsible for the Lions' unexpected start to the season?
Matt Patricia, the head coach of this football team, and what he did last year to get rid of the element that he thought was holding the team back. There is a buy-in factor. There's no denying that. They are not playing particularly well, but they are playing winning football, and I think that is reflective of their head coach. I mean, right now, if you had to say, okay, who are the Pro Bowlers on this team? Ragnow, he's off to a terrific start, at least according to Pro Football Focus, but it's not like anybody else is playing some really unbelievably high level. I think that's a reflection of the coach.
You are correct, Jamie. It is Matt Patricia. They bought in and they play hard. They go to the ball on defense. They seem to be in the right place. Look, we know it's still early, but the question is, they're 2-0-1, and who's the most responsible right now? It is Patricia, no doubt.
Well, he's 1A, but I think 1B is my next issue, which is through 3 games, Matthew Stafford has his second highest single-season QB rating in his career. Why is Stafford off to such a good start this year?
I think the scheme fits him really well, where they can do a lot of play action because they're running the ball. And also the fact that the offensive line has kept him, for the most part, clean. He's not faced a lot of pressure, hasn't been sacked the last 2 games. I think Bevel and the offensive line is helping make Matthew Stafford really good so far.
Yeah, to me the answer is Bevel. I mean, I've been saying now for 11 years, just get Matthew Stafford an offensive coordinator and he'll be fine. No, I haven't been saying that.
Has anybody ever gotten more accolades that they didn't deserve than JBC?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield. But yes, no, I know what you're saying about Cooter. But I think what Bevel's done is he has found the happy medium between maybe Linehan and Cooter in terms of there's the aggressiveness that is the strength of Matthew Stafford, but also the smarts to not have him do anything too crazy. It seems like when they run their offense, there's like 1 or 2 guys that are meant to be the primary pass catchers, as opposed to, I think, in some of the old offenses, you have Stafford back there just looking around and looking for Calvin.
All right, what's the biggest obstacle in the NFC North for the Lions? The Bears defense, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Rodgers, or the Packers defense?
I'm dismissing Cook and the Packers defense because I have to see more from them to really buy in completely. I'm dismissing the Bears defense, even though it's great because of Trubisky and their offense. So it's got to go back to Rodgers. I mean, who's the guy who has been standing in their way for a decade? Who's the guy who has thwarted them in their efforts to win division championships, both at Lambeau and in Detroit? I know they beat him. Last year, but he still is the one that scares me the most.
White color jersey, but I'm going with the Packers defense because Aaron Rodgers is always there anyway.
Yeah.
So the fact that the Packers have thus far a tremendous defense,
and they shut down the Bears and the Vikings.
Yeah. Okay, they played great defense so far, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't actually looked great either.
Also, they shut down the Bengals.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Bengals.
All right, well, Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked terrific either so far.
Yeah. All the Broncos.
Whatever. I think the defense is what makes them different than they've been in the last few years when they've had Aaron Rodgers and haven't done squat.
All right, power rankings in the NFL are nothing to get worked up over, right?
Yep.
But I got worked up this morning.
Good.
Pro Football Talk put out their power rankings for this week. The Lions are 19th. The Bears are 11th. The Lions have a better record. The Chargers, the Titans, the Jags, the Colts, the Texans are all ahead of the Lions.
The Titans?
Yes, at 1 and 2.
Wow.
Why don't the Lions? Why is everybody sleeping on this team? Why?
Because of the way they blew the first game that they should have had a win. Because people look at them and say, God, the Chargers had touchdowns taken away from them for cheap penalty calls, and Philly blew the game because they dropped passes. That's the national perspective. That's not my perspective. Yes, why? There's the reason why.
Philly, I know they're banged up a little bit, but Philly is a Super Bowl contender. They were universally picked by more people than any in the NFC.
To quote George W. Bush, fool me twice, don't get fooled again. I think that's why I think people are scared to get fooled by the Lions, and I think there's a lot of people saying, let's see what they do against them.
That's what Oreo said, and I don't think that's fair. But they already beat 2 teams of Super Bowl contenders. But I get what you're saying. You can argue that the Dolphins at 0-3, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Bengals are all in the market for a future franchise quarterback like Tua. Are you concerned that we may have a historic attempt for tanking in the NFL that'll actually negatively influence or in some ways screw up the playoff field this year?
I don't think so. I think the Dolphins are the only team that are truly tanking, and they've made moves to do so. The Steelers are acquiring players, which I don't quite understand. And I think the Broncos and Bengals are playing to win. I still think in football, you're going to get hurt if you play to lose. And I think all these teams are playing to win. The Dolphins are just doing it with a completely undermanned team.
I will say say this. Let's see what the trade deadline looks like.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stu.
That was going to be my next thing. We'll have to see what happens because there's people thinking like Cincinnati might trade guys like Geno Atkins. So we'll see what happens there. But
A sell-off that could just where you guys acquire a ton of talent.
Right. Yeah, Jamie's right, though. Miami's doing it from a front office perspective. You know, Pittsburgh, they got Minka Fitzpatrick. The Broncos, you might think so, but they already have, they think maybe Drew Lock is going to be their quarterback of the future that they're just waiting on for Flacco to continue to screw up. So I don't think we are in any danger of any major tankage.